Hello everyone, first news update for 25th of April. Now it's 8:30 in the morning Moscow time, and I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments that Russian media and public is paying attention to, and I hope you will find this episode informative and useful. And if so, please, while watching or listening to this update, click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. It will help to deal with the algorithm, and I guess I will need some help at least for next several days, because one of the yesterday's videos did manage actually to deal with the algorithm a little bit. It's over 7,000 views now, and whenever something like that happens, usually algorithm suppresses my videos even harder, and next several days usually very few people from our community receives notifications about updates. So therefore, to continue this successful struggle against algorithm, please click that like button and leave some commentary. It's kind of sport, by the way. You know that on YouTube my channel is not monetized, and therefore these views have meaning only in terms of reaching wider audience. Otherwise, it does not help projector financially in any ways, right? But it's like a sport now, you know. Will we be able to beat algorithm at least time to time? And well, yesterday we did not bad. So thank you very much, dear friends, to everyone who paid attention to my videos yesterday on YouTube and obviously on Rumble too. And dear friends, because of this constant struggle with YouTube's algorithm, if you can, please switch platform for next 30 to 40 minutes. I don't know how long this update will be, but if you can, please switch to Rumble channel and watch my update there. A link will be under this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And on Rumble, dear friends, thanks to communities support, view numbers increasing, communities also increasing in numbers, and who knows, maybe sometime in the future Rumble will become somewhat significant source of financial support for this project, to maintain this project independently. And well, therefore, please once again, if you can, watch my updates on Rumble. And today, dear friends, when it comes to Rumble, let me remind you that today it's Friday, of course. Happy Friday, everybody. And I will have traditional Friday live stream community chat on Rumble at about 6 o'clock in the evening Moscow time. And I really hope you will manage to join the conversation. It's always a good opportunity to have exchange of opinions in real time. So during the live stream, I will share additional news, latest news on some major developments, and then we will have a exchange of opinions basically in real time, as it is always. So if you can, please join our community during the live stream also. And before live stream starts, some 10-15 minutes before live stream starts, I will share information about it, announcement on my Telegram page, Twitter X page, and also on the community page on YouTube, just to remind you that live stream is about to begin. So that's being said, dear friends, let's go through some news now. And today I'm gonna start with the standoff between India and Pakistan after latest deadly terrorist attack on India, which took lives of 26 innocent civilians. Obviously, situation between our relationships between India and Pakistan get even tenser. Both New Delhi and Islamabad are making strong statements. New Delhi is accusing Islamabad for being connected with this terrorist attack, and they're basically with the terrorist organizations that are on regular basis targeting India. Pakistani leadership is denying these claims, and according to some reports that I see, one of the military leaders of Pakistan is actually accusing India of organizing or orchestrating a false flag operation and targeting its own civilians. I mean, this claim does make no sense to me personally whatsoever. It seems like Pakistan leadership is trying to dodge uncomfortable questions now about its integrity and principles that Pakistani leadership is operating on. After all, one should keep in mind that India is on its path to prosperity, right? Economical, social development. India definitely, I mean, it's only a matter of time, and India will become a major economy of this world and will compete with China, by the way. Will overcome every other economy in this world and will compete with China. Just give it another 15, 20 years, and that's going to be reality, 100%. While Pakistan is experiencing some serious economical crisis, political crisis, social fabric is stretched beyond limit in Pakistan. There are plenty of issues, by the way, on matters of territorial integrity, for example, because there is a significant separatist movements, by the way, and for example, Balochistan, we all hear time to time about this terrorist organization that is fighting for freedom of Balochistan, independence of Balochistan, and on the Pakistani territory, by the way, Balochis Balochistan is kind of like 30% of the territory of Pakistan, so it's a big issue. Nothing to be said about borderline areas between Pakistan and Afghanistan, where Taliban is strong and also intends to take out regime in Islamabad and to gain full independence. So Pakistan is in deep trouble, really. And therefore, maybe this latest escalation with India is an attempt of military leadership of Pakistan, and it's militaries that are in reality in charge there, not the political leadership, but militaries. And therefore, maybe militaries are trying to divert public's attention and to unite kind of society around this imaginary Indian threat or something, which is truly imaginary, because yet again, India is on its path towards economical success and prosperity. And the last thing that New Delhi wants now is war or escalation with any neighbor, especially with Pakistan. And after all, dear friends, we should all keep in mind that both countries are nuclear powers, and any standoff between the two obviously is extremely dangerous. Obviously, very little is known for now about this latest escalation, but if anybody will benefit from this escalation and further increase in tensions is maybe China. We should keep it real, isn't it? If India is harmed in any way, shape or form, if investors start afraid to invest in India, if some projects being held, who's gonna benefit? First of all, China, by the way. So therefore, and we all know that China has a strategical partnership with Pakistan. It's a very strange situation when Pakistan is kind of strategical partner of US and at the same time strategical partner of China. Strange situation there, but well, we should keep everything in mind when analyzing the situation. And so, let's hope sides will manage to de-escalate. But currently, information is coming that makes us all wary about future developments, because yet again, both capitals, New Delhi and Islamabad, are making very strong statements. Pakistan leadership is saying that situation may turn into all-out war, and definitely we don't want that. Although, by the way, let's be also real in terms of military capabilities of two countries. Also, I mean, India will crush Pakistani army in matter of weeks. It is what it is, right? These are no near peer militaries, by the way, Indian and Pakistani. What makes this situation extremely dangerous is that both countries have a nuclear weapon, and also what makes this situation extremely tragic is that these are one people, by the way. These are one people that are divided on religious lines. Majority in India are Hindus, and the majority in Pakistan, a vast majority, are Muslims, and this is a main reason why people are divided. One people, these are all Indians, majority Indians, by the way, right? And unfortunately, this military leadership of India to somehow, yet again, to somehow unite her public or whatever, are coming up with these sick ideas that there is two different nations, which is total nonsense, by the way. There is no such ethnic group as Pakistani. Pakistan is artificial creation, right? Let's be real here. Pakistan is artificial creation. Even name of this country is artificial, right? Just Google it, by the way. You might be surprised. So therefore, in any ways, my sympathy are towards India always. I think India is a strategical partner of the Russian Federation, but nevertheless, obviously, I would like to see the escalation between the countries and no further tension to erupt. But unfortunately, reports are coming in that, for example, there were already borderline skirmishes between the two countries, and India reported shelling from Pakistani side. The Indian army has recorded small arms fire on a border post from Pakistan, and the TV reported last night Pakistan started firing small arms at some places along the line of control. The firing was effectively responded to basically Indian side opened retaliatory fire. This TV channel is reporting. So situation is tense, but hopefully clear-minded people in Islamabad will prevail and will reach out to India and try to de-escalate, because this is definitely not in the interests of the ordinary people, ordinary citizens of India and Pakistan, right? This is for sure. Let's go through some other news now. TASS news agency is reporting that the Russian armed forces on duty overnight, early hours of this morning, intercepted some 79 drones that were launched by Kiev regime with assistance of NATO to strike deep into Russian territory. Majority of drones were intercepted over the Crimea. So 59 drones were intercepted over the Crimea. This is second day in a row when majority of drones that Kiev regime is launching are directed towards Crimea. 11 drones, and I think this is a British hand, by the way. This is definitely British and French hands, because they are dreaming about their presence in Crimea, right? Their presence in southern historical Russian territories, Odessa region, Nikolaev region. And I think these strikes were orchestrated by London and Paris, mainly London. 11 drones were intercepted over the Black Sea, 4 drones over the territory of Belgorod region, 2 drones each over the territories of Kursk and Nizhny Novgorod regions. At this point, no reports about casualties on the ground or any more or less significant damage. And if any update on that, of course, I will share additional information on my Telegram channel, Twitter X page, and during the live stream today evening on my Rumble channel at 6 o'clock Moscow time. Zgrad newspaper is also reporting that UN committee, by the way, claims discrimination against Russian speakers in Ukraine. Wow, finally UN is opening its eyes. It seems like unbelievable. It only took a couple of decades. So Ukraine's 2022 law, and it's not just from 2022, by the way, since the Soviet Union collapsed, on territory of this former Soviet Republic under the name of Ukraine, there were constant pressure on Russian speakers. Constant. So Ukraine's 2022 law on national minorities contains discriminatory provisions against Russian-speaking Armenian and Roma communities, according to findings of the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. So it's an official statement of UN. I wonder if any Western media outlet will pay any attention to this topic whatsoever. I don't think so. RIA Novosti, meanwhile, is reporting that this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky yesterday once again proved that they are Nazis, fascists, and the terrorists, and they opened fire, intentional direct fire on a monastery, in the Belgorod region. I shared video, by the way, of that on my Telegram and Twitter X pages. This is the monastery, by the way, that is burning due to this strike from Ukrainian Nazis, and that's what they do. That's with whom we are dealing, by the way. Just just to know. And this is not the first time, obviously, and not the last time when this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky is attacking Orthodox Christianity and Orthodox churches. It's happening on regular basis. RIA Novosti is also reporting that Russian armed forces, as a result of long-range precise strike, neutralized a relatively large group of foreign mercenaries, mainly English-speaking mercenaries. About 40 mercenaries were killed in the attack in Kharkov. The coordinator of the Nikolaev underground, Sergei Lebedev, told RIA Novosti and we have quote here, about 20 foreigners dead from NATO countries, mostly English-speaking. He told to news agencies. So I guess potentially some unit of special forces of British SAS was neutralized. Potentially, by the way, this is just my guess, but in any case, maybe we will find out soon. A couple of dozens of foreign mercenaries, less now, on Kiev-controlled territory to fight against us. TASS news agency is also reporting that Russian armed forces liberated Bogdanovka settlement in a DPR. Yesterday, in the second update, I reported about this news, and I mentioned that there was a sort of confusion when this information broke, because there is a Bogdanovka in Chisovyar direction, and there is Bogdanovka also on the southern western flank of Pokrovsk-Mirnograd sector, and some media reported that this Bogdanovka settlement is on Chisovyar direction, some that on Pokrovsk direction. It was a confusion, but now it's all clear. Point is that Bogdanovka settlement that is on Chisovyar direction is liberated for quite a while now. And therefore this Bogdanovka is on Pokrovsk Mirnograd agglomeration. It happens time to time, by the way, because quite a number of settlements have similar names, and it does create confusion. Some people might ask how many times this settlement could be liberated. Well, point is that it's not the same settlements, it's different settlements with the same name, right? And we have exactly that situation now. So this is, let me show you Bogdanovka on Chisovyar direction, by the way, first. So this is Chisovyar, of course, and this is Bogdanovka on that direction, which is liberated a long time ago. And this is another Bogdanovka on the Pokrovsk-Mirnograd direction on the southern western flank. This is Pokrovsk, by the way, here Mirnograd, and this is the Bogdanovka village. And now on this particular sector there is only 2 settlements left before Russian troops will reach border with Dnipropetrovsk region, Orekhova and Troitskaya. And I guess in next couple of weeks time both these settlements and also Katlirovka settlement on the north will be liberated, and Russian troops will reach in the Dnipropetrovsk region, and will continue operations to liberate people and their settlements in this region also from this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky. Few more news, dear friends. Lavrov, foreign minister of Russian Federation, gave an interview to US CBS media outlet, TV channel, and I watched some short episodes of this interview, and I was amazed how stupid that so-called journalist was that was asking question to Lavrov. Probably Lavrov was shocked also. At one point, this journalist is asking about Russian strikes deep into Kiev-controlled territory, and Lavrov stated that, well, Russia is targeting strictly military sites, either military and logistical infrastructure, or their infrastructure that used to be civilian but now used by militaries. And this so-called journalist from CBS is asking, oh, that means you are intentionally targeting these areas. No, missiles just are flying on their own. I mean, from where these people are coming, man? I mean, these stupid people. Why this person is interviewing Lavrov that has no even 2 brain cells, for God's sake? But anyways, I guess it did make some sense for Lavrov, for Russian side, to give an interview to this stupid channel, CBS or whatever it is, just to make a point for viewers of this channel, right? And probably they do have quite a lot of viewers. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I'm quite sure Lavrov knew straight away that someone that will interview him will be extremely stupid, and he had to be very careful with that kind of journalist, so-called journalist, because they simply understand nothing, right? Anyways, we have this report from TASS news agency that during that interview, Lavrov stated that Russia is ready to conclude a deal on Ukraine, but some details need to be agreed upon. So Russia is ready to conclude an agreement on settling the conflict in Ukraine, but there are certain provisions of the deal that require approval. Moscow is working on this. Lavrov stated during that interview. He also praised US President Trump. Everybody knows that Trump is a narcissist, right? And now everyone is kind of trolling Trump while praising him. That, Lavrov went to say that Trump is the only leader in this world that understands or acknowledges that root causes of the crisis has to be addressed and that kind of stuff. So he was trying to say, no, Trump is a clever guy. Although, by the way, I have some doubts that Trump is a really intellectual. I don't think so. I really don't. Right? I think Trump's education may be on a level of like 7th, 8th grade in school. In Russian school, by the way. I don't know schools in US. I mean, in US, Trump's education may be on a level of Harvard University. I mean, who knows, man? I don't have any respect for US educational system whatsoever. But by Russian standards, Trump's intellect is about, I don't know, man. Our education is about probably, 7th, 8th grade in a school. That's it, right? So therefore, obviously, Lavrov was exaggerating big time that Trump is this and that. Okay, that's diplomacy. That's the gameplay. We all understand that. But anyways, probably more episodes of that interview, or maybe entire interview, will be published today, and I will watch. Let's see what other stupid questions that so-called journalist of the CBS was asking Russian foreign minister. And face impressions, by the way, are during that kind of interviews. Most funny is to watch face impressions of the people that being interviewed, right, by these stupid individuals that pretend to be journalists, because quite often questions are so dumb that people cannot hide how surprised they are to hear that kind of questions. Anyways, Lavrov stated, yes, that Russia is ready to conclude a deal, although, I mean, as Russian side was clear always, there are some fundamental issues that needs to be addressed, and and sooner Western ruling class, including U.S. leadership or whatever forces are behind the current leadership of U.S. will agree on Russian terms, the better. It's just simple as that, right? But when it comes to Trump, by the way, he's still acting based on US traditions, acting tough, and therefore he posted on his true social media that he's not happy with Russian strikes that took place yesterday night on military and logistical infrastructure of the Kiev regime. He called the Russian president Vladimir Stop or something on that line. Okay, too familiar. I mean, I don't think it is okay for presidents to use that kind of language. I don't think Trump is a best body of the Russian president. Definitely don't, right? They might speak a couple of times and that's it, right? So for Trump, Russian president is not Vladimir. For Trump, Russian president is Vladimir Putin. That's it. But anyways, he just went to demonstrate that he is unhappy with this Russian strike and it was not necessary. Also, he went to say that U.S. is demanding that Russia will agree on some terms. And I commented, by the way, yesterday. I commented yesterday on my Twitter X page. Let me go there, by the way. So that's it. There was this report that U.S. to demand from Russia to accept Ukraine's right to military force, and I commented, when will these lunatics in the leadership of their countries, of the collective West and their globalist masters, began to understand that they cannot demand anything from Russia? Or to put it simply, when will these morons admit that they have lost this proxy war that they started against Russia and which Russia will definitely end, and exclusively on its own terms? I mean, it's a legit, quite simple question. When will these morons realize that their time for games is up? Right? Either they are agreeing on Russian terms or there is nothing to talk about. We will continue, and the longer this proxy war lasts, weaker and weaker position of the collective West, the globalists, and whomever are in charge there will be, locally and on a geopolitical scale, right? But what is interesting, later on, by the way, Trump, while he was having a meeting with the former head of NATO and some officials from, I don't know, Norway, I guess, or I don't really care who those people are. He had a meeting with them in Oval Office, and he was asked about Russian concessions. Is Russia making any concessions during these negotiations? And at one point, seems like Trump was on peak of his intellectual potential, and he said something which is true. Russia stopping short of taking all of Ukraine, which is a big concession. Let's listen exactly what Trump said.
What concessions, Mr. President, and to your national security team, what concessions has Russia offered up thus far to get to the point where you're closer to peace?
Stopping the war, taking the whole country. Pretty big concession.
So hopefully sound was okay, because I cannot hear because of the microphone. Hopefully sound was okay, but Trump was asked about Russian concessions, and he said that Russia is not taking whole country, which is already a big concession. And this is true, by the way. Although Russia never intended to establish control over the entire Ukraine, this is also true, right? It's only Western propaganda, by the way, that claims that Russia wanted to take control over the entire Ukraine in just 3 days or 5 days or nonsense like that, right? While in reality, Russia's declared goals in this special military operation is quite clear, isn't it? And it was never to take control over the entire Ukraine. But if this conflict continues, eventually Russia may have no option but to liberate entire territory of this former republic, with the exception of western parts of it that used to belong to Poland or at one point in history, Hungary, Romania, and so on. So seems like Trump understands that. He was briefed probably a couple of times at least about real capabilities of Russian armed forces, and he was briefed how this conflict will end eventually if it will continue, and that's why he's coming up with such a statement, by the way. And sometimes we should give him a credit when it's deserved. Quite often Trump is just real. He says what he thinks, right? He might be wrong, he might be correct, but quite often, as far as my observation goes, he says what he actually thinks. And this was that particular case, I guess. And he said that, yes, Russia will not take control over the more territories or entire country, and that is quite a concession on their part. Okay. Good point there. Good point. Kommersant newspaper is reporting that according to Bloomberg, I already mentioned this, that Trump will demand that Russia recognize Ukraine's right on army and the military-industrial complex. I don't think Trump or US or anybody is in a position to demand from Russia anything at all. I know in the Western, or especially in the US political system, acting tough is a thing, right? And everyone tries to copy that kind of behavior, like they are cowboys or the gangsters or that kind of stuff. But let's be real here. What Trump can demand from Russia? During that meeting when Trump yesterday, between Trump and some people from Norway, I guess that was. Including, there was a Jens Stoltenberg, former Secretary General of NATO, and some other people that I don't care really. And during that meeting, some so-called journalists were trying to pressure Trump on topic of additional sanctions on Russia due to this Russian long-range precise missile and drone strikes. And Trump dodged those questions. But I have a question on my own. To those so-called journalists, do they even know how many sanctions already been imposed on Russia? Do they have any idea how many sanctions this collective West countries already imposed on Russia? It's 3,000, by the way. It's about 30,000. Some say 40,000. It's definitely over 28,000, right? Because some of the Russian officials recently actually used that number, 28,000 something, right? So when you already impose on country 28,000 sanctions, I think you are quite limited then, because there is literally nothing left that you can still sanction, right? All the economical industries, all the sectors, practically all the companies, businesses, everything is sanctioned, right? What else they gonna do? Why these primitives in the so-called media in the West think that if another 1,000 nonsensical sanctions will be added on existing ones, that will make any change? Do they have any education at all? These so-called journalists, I don't know. But Trump was dodging, by the way, those questions, because probably he is sick and tired of this nonsense. I can understand that, because yet again, I mean, you already sanctioned this country more than any other country ever in history, right? And it did not work. So there is no point to continue on that ladder. Anyways, let's continue with some more news. So RT is reporting that while all this stuff is happening, by the way, Kiev regime is actually facing default and this so-called Ukraine. So Ukraine's government announced on Thursday that it has failed to reach an agreement to restructure some 2.6 billion of its debt. The country could default if it is not able to make the next scheduled payment at the end of the May. So in approximately 1 month's time, Ukraine might default, technically speaking, although of course this will not happen, not now at least, because I guess European taxpayers will take the bill. I mean, that's how it is. Citizens of EU member states may don't like it, and citizens of UK also. But European taxpayers eventually will take the bill, and they will pay Ukraine's debt, right? I have no doubts about that. This is the case. This is going to be the case now. Sometime in the future, probably European states will also have no option but to say that they had enough. They had enough, but for now, until they still believe that they can impose some strategic defeat on Russia or something, until they are still dreaming about destroying Russia, they will continue to finance their proxy, Ukraine, as much as they can. But technically speaking, next month, Ukraine may actually default on its debt. TASS news agency is reporting that the head of Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service stated that after quite a constructive phone conversation with his US counterpart, director of the CIA, John Radcliffe, it is a possibility that they will have a face-to-face meeting in upcoming future, in near future, which is interesting. Both institutions definitely have quite a stuff to do to make sure that these European elites that are desperate to keep US in to this proxy war will be in check, or at least to make sure that Russia and US are ready for whatever provocations leadership of these globalist puppet regimes in UK, France, Germany, and other European countries may come up with, and they will definitely come up with their provocations, and they are actively trying to derail potential de-escalation, right? Talks between Washington and Moscow and their attempts to de-escalate. So therefore, head of Russian Foreign Intelligence Service and the head of CIA definitely have what to talk about, and these two institutions definitely have directions where to cooperate, really. TASS news agency, meanwhile, is to minimize risks, obviously. TASS news agency is also reporting that Russia and Iran are ready to work on a new overland gas corridor. Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak and Iran's Minister of Petroleum Mohsen Paknejad expressed readiness during talks to continue working on joint projects of creating a new overland gas corridor from Russia to Iran, the Russian cabinet said, and this is quite important, isn't it? This is quite important because I said many times before, Russia should divert its exports, including energy exports, and the world is huge, by the way. There is no need to be dependent on European customers, right? Demand on gas is huge worldwide, and one of the ways this diversification might happen is this north-south economical corridor, trade route, which obviously can be used to build gas pipelines, oil pipelines, whatever, right? So it is good that Moscow and Tehran are working on this direction also. And by the way, one should keep in mind that it's not just Iran that can be supplied with Russian gas, for example. Iran has its own gas quite a lot, but infrastructure needs to be developed. And meanwhile, Russian gas might help with that to supply local economy. But once Iran's energy infrastructure is built enough so that they will be able to supply completely their own economy, well, this route, north-south route and gas pipelines, for example, can be used to liquefy this gas on the Persian Gulf, on the coast of the Persian Gulf, and then to export on the world market. So both countries will benefit in any case from this cooperation, of course, in the short term and in the long term. TASS news agency is also reporting that the head of Russia's second biggest lender, VTB, Andrei Kostin, stated that there are grounds for the central bank of the Russian Federation's key rate to begin to gradually decline by end of the 2025, which is a good news. Currently, interest rate is on 21%, I believe, and it's too high. It's obviously too high, and it will be good if interest rate will start coming down little by little. It's going to be a process, obviously. It's going to be a process, but information itself, when head of one of the biggest Russian financial institutions saying that economical situation is good enough, interest rates to be brought down, well, that's on its own is a quite indicator, isn't it? That Russian economical bloc is successfully managing to deal with their challenges. First of all, with their overheated economy. And this situation is normalized now, I guess. And also, inflation was targeted quite effectively. And, well, I guess central bank is in a position, or will be in a position, to cut interest rates little by little towards the end of this year. Maybe even this summer, by the way. Who knows? And I will end this update, dear friends, on this news that China yesterday launched a Shenzhou 20 spacecraft with the free taikonauts to its space station. In Russia, by the way, we call cosmonauts people that are fly to space. In US, it's astronauts. In China, it's taikonauts. So yes, free taikonauts were, missile with free taikonauts rocket was launched yesterday, this Shenzhou 20, and today I saw reports this morning that spacecraft with free taikonauts successfully docked with their Chinese space station. So success on part of Chinese science, and congrats on that. Congrats on that. Whenever there is any success in a scientific field, and of course space explorations is a scientific field, it's a success for in whole of humanity, in my personal opinion. It's that's how it should be seen, in my opinion. And well, I was hoping that update is going to be some 35 minutes. It's a little longer, but hopefully you will find it informative, interesting, and useful. And if so, please, dear friends, click that like button if you have not yet, or leave some commentary about any topic you like, literally. More likes and comments probably will help me to deal with their algorithm. And if you can, please share a video or information about my channel with your friends, offline or online. And finally, if you like my work, if you like my channels, please consider to support this project with a donation through PayPal or Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page or page on Boosty, where I have quite a lot of extra content on regular basis. All the links are on this video description box and in the pinned comment, including address of their crypto wallet. And this is it. This is it for now. Before I go, I will just remind you, dear friends, that this evening at 6 o'clock, traditional Friday live stream community chat on my Rumble channel, and I really hope many members of our bigger communities will manage to join the conversation. During the last live stream, there was about 50 of us on Rumble. I resumed live stream on Rumble last week, and hopefully today there will be a little more of us. We will see. So, okay, this is it for now. Have a wonderful day and great upcoming weekend, dear friends. And bye for now. Take care.